Yo, welcome to Sister Punk Studios. I'm Keisha, and if you like my anime reviews, my lifestyle vlogs, or my music from my punk family, make sure you like and subscribe. I am so freaking excited to finally talk about this anime Okay, I had to get that out. But for real though, nowadays, you never know if an anime series is actually going to continue, or if I'm gonna have to slug my way back to the manga, or wait years for another movie to get released outside of Japan. But finally, we have one of the most unique anime discoveries to debut in like the past decade. Made in Abyss is returning this summer for a second season, with their amazing concept that has never ever been imagined before. Through the magically inviting and horrifyingly dark depths of this beautiful but incredibly cruel adventure. There's no turning back once you fall into Made in Abyss. This anime is set in this age of exploration, where the corners of the world have been scoured for secrets, and ancient technology drives everyone's curiosity, including adrenaline junkie adventurers and obsessed treasure hunter geeks. Only one place in the world remains the greatest unexplored challenge that no one has ever returned from alive or sane, and that's this massive cave system known as the Abyss. And those who traverse these endless pits and labyrinth-like tunnels are known as cave raiders, who are celebrated and almost praised as heroes to humanity. The anime follows a young orphan named Riko who dreams of following in her mother's footsteps as one of the most admired legendary cave raiders. And her mother has reached depths unknown but also has never returned. But somehow Riko is still determined to make her own descent and reunite with her mother, or at least follow in her legacy, even though she's still just a kid. But anyway, Riko ends up meeting this strange robot while she's scavenging along the edge of the abyss. And this robot boy comes with this human-like but also artificial-looking appendages. And somehow his existence might be a sign that Riko's mother is still alive down there somewhere. Riko is ready to take the dive with this robot boy named Reg, and she is already one step closer to achieving her goal of finding her mother. But this anime series and franchise has been in production since 2017, and I'm hoping the anticipation has not died down after its breathtaking first season and the dramatic sequel film Dawn of the Deep Soul that premiered in 2020. And now it's finally been announced that the second season of Made in Abyss is going to debut in summer of 2022, officially titled Made in Abyss: The Golden City of the Scorching Sun. And I'm gonna be your guide to catch you up on this most surreal, life or death defying, and creatively impactful anime series. And from the start, the art style of Made in Abyss is deceivingly cartoonish and innocent looking, with these over-expressive, big-headed character designs. But this is also paired with hyper-realistic environmental scenery that brings function to this archaeological steampunk setting. And the first episodes aren't shy about showcasing the ever-present and immediate dangers, mysteries, and creatures of the Abyss. But Riko is bright-eyed, carefree, and hella hyperactive to even focus on one thing at once. But she's still a curiously intelligent kid. But for the beginning, she seems to treat Reg like the machine that he is, rather than the human that he appears to be. I mean, yes, she's caring for him, but she also mostly sees him as this rare artifact. And Riko hauls him back to the orphanage to secretly experiment and research on him, and find out more about what Reg is made out of. And it's not so out of the ordinary for Riko to totally nerd out like this, especially since this whole society is shaped around adventuring and discovering new things that are part of the Abyss, like raiding for rare relics and technology that could explain the truth and history of this very mysterious world. Plus, Riko's mother being a white whistle is nothing to brush off, because the risk of fatality becomes so real when you just go a few hundred meters deep into the Abyss. And that's not just because of the treacherous landscape, and also flying snake bird monsters. When cave raiding in the Abyss, the return journey is where you have your real problem. The deeper a cave raider goes, the greater and more severe is the physical toll of returning back home. There are extreme side effects, from dizziness and nausea and complete numbness of the body, that leave raiders incapacitated in an already dangerous territory. Like, every orifice and hole will start just gushing with blood, and it is so gory, it's almost surprising from this really innocent looking show. The worst case scenario scenario is the loss of all recognizable humanity, and if you're lucky, death. Which makes it even more astounding that something like Reg could survive and rise from the bottom of this huge abyss. Reg is essentially a supreme treasure of the netherworld, and craziest of all is that he's about to help Riko with her descent into the abyss. And Riko becomes even more dead set on this goal when her mother's white whistle floats to the surface of the abyss. And attached to it is this cryptic message of unseen creatures and unknown objects, as well as a suspiciously detailed sketch of our robot boy Reg himself. It seems like Riko's mother Liza already discovered Reg somewhere near the 7th layer of the abyss. And this whole message acts like a calling for Riko to join her mother down in these elaborate cave systems. Riko idolizes her mother more as an adventurer than as a parent. And at 12 years old, Riko is only just starting to learn more about her mother that's not just urban legend. Like, for example, her mom risked her own life and the life of her whole squad to give birth to Riko and save her while she was still adventuring in these cave systems. Liza ended up using a special grade relic in order to bring Riko back to the surface alive. But it seems like Riko still has this insatiable urge to return back into the depths. But Riko is still a novice red whistle who isn't even authorized to go further down into the abyss. After a certain point of descent, it's pretty much considered an act of suicide because of the known dangers of attempting to return and the great toll that it takes on the human body, also known as the curse of the abyss. Riko's friends and mentors try to prevent her from taking this journey, but the only one who can protect Riko in her inevitable pursuit is Reg. And Reg also wants to learn more about himself, his purpose, and where he came from. But their method of going through these apparently incredibly dangerous cave systems is admittedly very haphazard. Riko just slings her arms around Reg with her big old backpack of survival gear, and she just holds on for dear life while Reg uses his extendable arms in order to reach down below and begin their descent into the abyss. The wonders of this realm truly begin to open up, with the magic of the inverted forest with flying beasts and an upside down sky, before an even sharper drop into a seemingly endless pitfall. And even though it's very beautiful, even a single step up can send the cursed side effects of the abyss to destroy the body from the inside out. And this is exactly why only high-ranked raiders like Black Whistles and White Whistles have traversed these paths, and even fewer have actually survived. From the sea of corpses to the capital of the unreturned, when a White Whistle descends to the 6th level for their last dive, they're pretty much never going to return home in search for their own truth somewhere down in the abyss. And Riko and Reg have to learn some hard lessons right from the start if they're expected to survive in this terrain. Reg does his best to protect Riko, but they're kind of helpless in the wild. Riko sometimes takes this a little bit too lightly and excitedly wanders off totally unprepared, and Riko is almost more distracted from her curiosity from actually surviving. Despite Riko's encyclopedic knowledge of all the abyss's flora and fauna, she's kind of an airhead too. But it also doesn't take long for Riko's stamina to start to falter, and for her to make simple but frustrating mistakes really early on. Reg isn't affected by the side effects of the abyss, and he can't feel pain or tiredness or anything really, so he has to pick up her slack pretty often. But Reg is still patient and incredibly observant too. And there's sometimes these weird flashbacks where he shows glimpses of knowledge of his past in the abyss that I'm sure Reg wasn't even aware of himself. But these awaken abilities, like his super-powered arm-blasting incinerator. These abilities come in handy because these kids have definitely underestimated the awareness and skill that it takes to maneuver through this environment, let alone how these vivid and beautiful but also often cruel experiences at each level transforms their bodies and their minds forever. But fortunately, Riko and Reg aren't going through this completely alone. By the time they reach the lowest area of the 2nd level, the whole world already seems upside down. But they find a camp with a sinister and powerful and very secretive upper-rank White Whistle named Ozin, the Unmovable Sovereign. And she's also survived many adventures with Riko's mother, including the treacherous journey to save Riko's life as a baby in the abyss. And honestly, I can't help but feel that Ozin just sees Riko as another artifact, kinda in the same way that Riko looks at Reg. Except I also feel that Ozen deeply resents the sacrifice that it took to keep Riko alive. That her mother and Ozen's cave raiding partner essentially risked her own life for as well. At least Ozen takes her time at literally beating these kids up, but after seeing if they're actually up for the challenge, she ends up giving some advice for Liza's legacy's sake. Riko and Reg have to know and make the best of each other's strengths and weaknesses. And this first season really ends with a cruel reminder of how fatal this dive is. Beyond the third layer are levels of incomparably dense and unknown netherworlds, with beasts that are even more intelligent, intuitive, and evolved, that not even Reg stands a chance at protecting Riko from harm. And Reg can't spare Riko from the cursed side effects of attempting to escape upwards, which sometimes is their only way out. Reg was in shambles when they were attacked by this poisonous lion monster that could see the future or something. And Reg is in no shape or has no experience to really help Riko when she's injured. Like, bro was about to cut off her arm in all of the wrong places. This was probably one of the most numbing and humbling episodes. Until these kids were finally saved by an unexpected and also unhuman ally named Nanachi. And Nanachi is what these cave raiders would call a hollow. Hollows are creatures, or rather people, who have sunk so far into the abyss that they have returned deformed or have lost some portion of their own humanity. For Nanachi, this experience is tragically paired with a deeply heart-wrenching trauma. But even if Nanachi does seem very cute and fuzzy and cuddleable, she also has a sharp-witted and very sarcastic personality. Nanachi also has way more familiarity with the abyss. From literally living beneath the depths of the fourth layer, Nanachi knows so many remedies and observations of this chaotic and unforgiving environment. But Nanachi still needs help with a difficult and emotional task, and that is to literally incinerate what is left of her own past, in order to free the trapped soul of her loved one who's also lost her humanity, in order for her to move forward. After this, Nanachi finally agrees to join Reg and Riko in order to tread deeper, and find purpose to this world and their own existences while protecting each other. And it's just so inspiring to see how Riko and Reg have come this far, and have sent a message to those on the surface that they can survive. But it also seems like each of these characters' purpose all connected back to Riko's mother, Liza. Reg even starts to have more vivid visions and memories that connect to Liza the deeper that they go. And Reg and Liza appear to be so close in these memories that maybe Reg knows what might have happened to her before she was assumed dead. And Riko and Nanachi also have to confront this legion of white whistle ranked cave raiders, who are part of these strange and cruel experiments on abandoned orphans and children in order to test the effects of the curse of the abyss past the fourth level. In the Made in Abyss movie, Dawn of the Deep Soul, we venture beyond the Sea of Corpses at the 5th level, and meet the bottleneck that Riko, Reg, and Nanachi must overcome. Here is where we really meet our first big bad evil guy, and Bondrewd makes Ozen's sadistic nature seem like it was actually sweet parental tough love, rather than his poisonous and seductively manipulative Stockholm Syndrome. And it doesn't take long after we've arrived for Nanachi to start having to bargain for her friends' lives. They are already starting to pull Reg apart and dissect him, and treat him like the rare and dangerous relic that he is. But Bondrewd, even though he's a white whistle, he also seems like every sinister creature at this level. He just seems so unreal, and maybe even some immortal, unhuman monster himself. And his control is through the sacrifices he forces others to make in order to protect the ones that they love. And Nanachi is still scarred from being forced to lose her humanity when she was a victim to Bondrewd's experiments. And Nanachi definitely has a lot of stuff to work through internally, because at some point she also became an accomplice to his research that harmed way more generations of other children. But really all white whistles and cave raiders are complicit in some way. Like, Riko discovers that these high-ranked whistles have the power to activate relics from deep inside of the abyss. But these whistles are made of human sacrifices. And that's including Riko's mother's whistle, and even the white whistle that Riko heartbreakingly earns for herself. For this exchange of power, the only person or thing strong enough to take down Bondrewd is Reg, but not in his normal form, but in his berserk relic beast mode. And as cool as it looks, this form still strips Reg of his humanity and turns him into this weapon. It feels like now there are even more questions about where Reg came from, but the only ones that are keeping Reg human now are his companions, Nanachi and Riko, who in their own way use their friendship to awaken their inner strength. And they are going to need it in this journey that's just overflowing with life and death, and filled with curses and blessings to be challenged. This next season of Made in Abyss has so many new discoveries that will lead this crew to the next level of their last dive. I'm so excited for this second season with the most epic title like the Golden City of the Scorching Sun. That sounds so amazing, and if you want to watch more Made in Abyss, you better like and subscribe right now, because I'm doing full episode reactions of this new season of Made in Abyss right here at Sister Punk Studios. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and all of my socials, links down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.